what I have here. So I have these marked at the 9 inches. I'll cut them. I'll bend them over. Actually, I'll bend them in and try to match that angle. See kind of the angle I'm going to need. Then I'll weld them both. Put them both at the same angle. Weld them up. Then I'll clamp them in place. Figure out where I'm going to put that other mark. Grind that one, and I'll just cut it off there because, like I said, I want to cut it at an angle so the next one sits at that angle that I need. I was planning on actually just bending it over, but I think I like that little extra angle to it. I think it'll look a little better. So we'll totally cut it off at that point, put that angle on there, or try to cut the angle into it, make 2 identical ones, and then get them welded in place. Put the top piece across, and I don't want to weld it together yet because then I'm going to put a strap, basically make this into a channel, and then we'll weld that all on, and then we'll put it in place, and then we'll set it where it needs to go, and hopefully then weld it all at once. And then I got to figure out what I want to do. I'm going to put a piece of sheet metal back here. It obviously is going to need a piece of tubing or something to hold it, give it some rigidity on the top part. And then I got to figure out what I want to do as far as any brackets or whatever there. So, I don't know. It might be kind of nice to bring tubing in, up from the bottom all the way to the top. And that would kind of separate your 2 windows, give you a thing to put if you want to put any pieces in between the windows so you protect your windows. I don't know. I got to see what I want to do there. But anyways, I'm going to do these. I'm going to groove these. I'll let you guys watch me do that and then roll them over, and maybe we'll watch me put them up. I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, we'll get started on this. Okay, so what I have here now is these side pieces. So they're just clamped on right now. And you can see I'm going to be putting an angle like that right there. And I think that's about the height that I want it. We'll see how things are. But the plan is I'm going to just actually bring these back to the backside, roll them down, and figure out that top piece, what I'm going to need, and weld it on top of these rails here. And then when it's done, I can roll it back up and put it in place. So we'll see how that turns out there, and if we like it. Anyways, I probably won't record that because my battery's about to die. I don't know, we'll see. I might take some pictures or just short little videos of what I'm doing. Okay, so I have this set up here. So if you look here, what I got these pieces clamped down on that end, and then I got them measured out. Same thing with this one here. So that is they're just gonna get flipped up and put up in place. So then I have this piece right here cut and ready to go. I'll lay it down in here, weld it, and I have it spaced up about 3/16 of an inch. And it's gonna be about 3/16 of an inch here, because since this is at an angle, it's not exactly 6 inches anymore. But by spacing that up, when I reinforce these sides, I basically make it like into a channel, those pieces will fit right into that, and it'll fill that gap up like we want it to. So it'll come here, and then you'll have that seam that will be welded on. But this piece goes on top now, so I'm going to get this welded in, and then I'm going to look about cutting my flat piece that goes in here. Sorry, got to put you in the right spot. The flat piece that goes right in here, so that way it'll kind of give it some rigidity. So that way I can put it up there, and then I can start figuring out my next cuts and what I'm going to put in place here, because I'm going to have a spot up here for the lights to shine them back. So I got to figure out how I want to do that. Anyways, I'm tired, but I want to get this welded on, and I don't know if I can get any of those put on in place tonight. It'd be nice if I could. So this is what I got so far. So I still need to put this piece on right here on both sides, but you can see now how that's really going to just strengthen this up, make it like channel. There's that nice angle I have up in front there. Well, this is going to be actually forward facing, so that way when I put my lights, I'm hoping I can see them in the front good. If not, I'll have to figure something else out. I did mess up here. I cut these straight, and they should have been cut at an angle. Not a huge deal. You just see that they got a little bit of a gap between there. So I wasn't thinking straight. I thought, oh, you know what? All I got to do is go straight there. But no, you got to find your angle and split it in half and cut that. But it's late. I'm tired, and I missed that. It'll be all right. I mean, it's like 1/8 of an inch, and it's going to be in front, and you ain't going to see it, so I ain't worried about it. When I do the other side, I may do things a little better there. That way I don't end up with that. So I just gotta, like I said, I gotta find my angle here, split it in half, and then I'll set that on the bandsaw. These I just did straight like this. I didn't feel like I needed to do anything crazy as far as doing a miter right in here. And I'll do the front the same way. Those will be ground down anyways. And so once they're painted, you'll hardly see there's a seam there. Just got these spot welded for now. And man, when you just spot weld, it does a nasty job. Look at that. Where am I at? Right there. It does a nasty job. So I'll kind of hit those with a grinder, and then I'll seam weld this here. But I won't do it all at once because we don't want warpage. What I'll probably do is maybe do a couple inches, and then I'll maybe work on this a couple inches, go on the other side a couple inches, and then probably just let it cool down a little bit, and then I'll come and do it again and try to prevent it from getting too hot and really warping on me. I think it'll look pretty good. So tomorrow, this will be finished, and what do I have to do? That'll be done. Then I'll cut the piece that goes inside of here, get that tack welded, and then I guess that's all part of that being finished and welding this up in place. I do like the way this is turning out though. I think that'll turn out real nice looking. Anyways, I'm gonna go home, take a shower and go to bed. Work on this tomorrow evening. Good night. Well, it's the next day, and we're getting ready to finish welding these pieces up on the headache rack. If you don't have any of these magnets, they're gonna have, I have some of these little ones, and these little ones are good for like little pieces, especially maybe when you're on the bench or stuff, but when you're up here trying to hold bigger pieces, it's not as easy. These guys do a lot better job. But what we're gonna be doing, we're gonna be setting these up in here so we can hold our flat bar into place. In place. There we go. See, just like that. We're gonna actually, if you look here, I'm gonna gap this a little bit because you remember I was saying about how this is not quite right. So by gapping this makes that even less, and won't even notice it. And plus, it gives you a place for your weld to be. I'm gonna be grinding a lot of these welds down so they're not gonna be sticking up on the outside. I will be putting some welds in the inside. I don't know if I'll weld the whole thing. Maybe just stitch welds on the inside, like 2-inch welds or something. But by doing it this way, it'll have a nicer, cleaner look on the outside. But we do want to have some of that weld filling in these cracks so it looks like one piece. So it looks like a real channel rather than a welded up conundrum of metal. Is conundrum the right word? I don't know. This thing is like focusing on my eye. It's weird. Okay. Anyways, let's get these welded. Let's get this welded up here, and then we'll move to the other side. And you're just gonna make sure you're flush. And like I said, we'll put that gap, an even gap. We'll stick this together. Maybe I should just bring it out more like that. Ooh, that might be kind of a way to hide that. Make that square there. It's gonna be hidden by the cab mostly, but if you see inside there, it'll look good. But that's a pretty big gap. I might do a little more like that, but I'm gonna go like that. And you put a little weld there, and it'll be hiding. Anyways, I'll set this up and you guys can watch us. I'm gonna do another time lapse. See how these time lapses work on this new camera. Anyways, let's find where I can set you up here. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Okay. So I got this side done. Take a quick look here, what we have, and not the best weld. You got some pitting, some porosity, but then I've ground the weld down. I was trying to mess with the settings. I didn't want to have such a big weld to grind off, so I was trying different settings, try to get just enough weld in there to fill in the gaps. It's not, this side isn't necessarily going to be the strength, and I don't need a lot of weld here anyways. But like I said, I'm going to go on the inside, and all the seams, I'll make sure I weld them. Corners will be welded really well because that's where there's a lot of strength in corners. And then let me see. Then what I'll do here is I'll just stitch weld, like 2-inch stitches, and the same thing. Corners get welded real good, both sides. But anyways, that side is done. We're going to put this up and take some measurements and see where we're at from there. Okay, so what's going to happen is the lights are going to be in here. I'm going to have 2 lights, and I don't want it too long because this is awful heavy steel. It's 3/16. If I would have had 1/8 inch, I would just use 1/8 inch for this because I got the rigidity of that headache rack is already there. But I just need places to mount lights. Now, I don't know. I got some sheet metal I can maybe cut to mount some. It's 11 gauge, so close to 1/8 inch steel. So I can do that, or I don't know. I'm not sure how I want to go about this. Like I said, if I use these, this is awful thick. It's awful heavy, adding weight, I mean, it will give it some strength for sure from wanting to, if there was any side motion, but I mean, the only time that's going to pay off is if you're rolling this thing. Most of the force, if you're going to have force on your headache rack, is going to be forward. Because if you don't have stuff strapped down and you slam your brakes, it slides and hits your headache rack. And so that's where you got to make sure you're strong enough, and it is. I don't think that thing's going to really go anywhere. It would take a lot to get it off, twist it a little bit, to fold it. I think it's pretty strong right there. But you got to make sure it's strong enough. You can't just necessarily underbuild it or guess on it. You got to make sure you got enough strength to it. But still thinking, still considering, still wondering, still debating. But yeah, maybe I should just get that sheet and cut that out, cut some spots out for here. Yeah, I like that idea. I really do. I really do. That way I'm not putting this really heavy steel in there. And if I needed to, I could lay some pieces up in the corners, like some flat bar up there, and weld that. That would really strengthen those corners out. But I don't know if I need to do it. One of the things I was thinking about, let's go ahead and swap it over here. If we look at our piece here, I was thinking, so my original plan was to just put the same stuff right here and go up the whole side. But one of the things about that is you got wasted space right in here that you're not going to use. I'm not going to box it all the way in like tubing. That's just overkill. However, what I was thinking is if I leave this open to about right here, and from here put those straps on, and in the future, so there'll be a piece of sheet metal back here holding that together, but in the future, just taking this out, maybe taking that sheet metal out, I don't know, but building a fuel tank that slides right in here, and then you tack that fuel tank in, and it would stay permanent. You can have a drain right through the bottom here if you wanted to drain, or run some pumps out. So I was thinking about running a pump out right into the fuel tank, so that way I can get probably around 25 gallons in a tank right here. So if you have it with on-road diesel, you just plumb it right into your tank and fill your tank up. If you start running out, especially on long trips, you would have to stop, just flip a switch and fill your fuel tank up. But anyways, for now, I think I'm just going to come down to here and call it good. And I don't know if I'm going to do anything up in here, just because I think I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. I might put something temporary, but nothing permanent right now, because I do eventually want to make some cutouts to put in there, maybe an American flag or something in there, but that's not right now. That's in the future. Right now is just getting it working, so that way I can have a bed and get some other work done on this truck before I pick up bees. Already got a scheduled date when I'm going to go get them. So this has to be done. I got a few weeks, so I better hurry up. But anyways, we'll figure this out.